Welcome back gamers to another review. In today's gaming landscape, where immersive open worlds and hyper-realistic graphics often dominate the conversation, a game like Plucky Squire stands out for its charming simplicity, creative mechanics, and a heartfelt story. At first glance, the game's colorful and whimsical art style may seem as though it's aimed solely for the younger audience, but trust me, do not be fooled. Beneath its playful exterior lies a thoughtfully crafted experience with plenty to offer to players of all ages. When you first boot up this game, you're greeted with an explosion of color that immediately sets the tone for the lighthearted adventure. You play as Jot, the titular squire and protagonist of a beloved children's book, and his story takes place in a beautifully illustrated 2D world. But this is only the beginning. Soon enough, the game surprises you by expanding beyond its confines of the book's pages, thrusting Jot into a 3D world of a children's bedroom. And this transition between a 2D and 3D is where the game flexes its creative muscles. The contrast between the hand-drawn storybook aesthetic and the more cartoonish, toy-like 3D world is stark, yet both environments share a level of polish and attention to detail that makes them feel cohesive. And the 3D world with its toy blocks, playing cards, and beetle pets invokes a strong sense of nostalgia, akin to being dropped in Toy Story or It Takes Two. And despite some initial hesitation some of you may have about the art style, especially outside of the storybook, once you step into the game's world, its charm is undeniable. And at its core, the story of Plucky Squire is deceptively simple. Jot must stop Humcrum, the villain of his story, from rewriting the narrative and casting himself as the hero. This game doesn't rely on an overly complex plot, but instead focuses on his characters, humor, and playful tone. And along the way, you're joined by a colorful cast of companions, like Moonbread, a wise mentor figure, and Trash, a mischievous goblin, each whom add flavor to the narrative. For the younger players, this story is undoubtedly resonant as a fun and lighthearted tale of good versus evil. For the older players though, the story charm may wear thin after a while. And while the game's writing is witty, the dialogue sometimes overstays its welcome, with frequent conversations that explain what to do next in great detail. This over-explanation might feel like a hand-holding to more experienced players who may prefer to figure out the game's puzzles and challenges on their own. And one of the most impressive features of this game is its clever puzzle design, which blends seamlessly with the game's narrative. The Plucky Squire's gameplay revolves around Jot's ability to manipulate both 2D and 3D worlds in creative ways. Inside the storybook, Jot can physically alter the text to change the environment around him. Need to open a lockgate? You can grab the word open from any other part of the book and use it to change the state of the gate. It's a system that feels fresh, intuitive, and endlessly satisfying. And while the mechanics of this game don't offer as much freedom as something like Baba Is You, they're still smarty implements. Swapping words and manipulating text feels organic to the story. Even though the game limits the number of words you can interact with, the mechanic remains engaging throughout, and the puzzles are designed in a way that strike a balance between challenge and accessibility, and make it perfect for younger players, while still providing aha moments for older players. And once outside of the storybook, this game continues to shine. In the 3D world, Jot can now manipulate the book from outside, tilting it to move blocks or flipping it back to earlier pages to retrieve them. And this 3D exploration gives the game a sense of scale and freedom, offering a fun mix of platforming and problem solving. And running around Sam's bedroom, leaping across playing cards, and hiding from beetles feels like a whimsical take on classic platformers, evoking a sense of childlike wonder. But these segments aren't without its flaws, as unfortunately there are some minor technical issues, like flickering shadows or occasional crashes. Luckily, these hiccups don't detract much from the overall experience. And the combat in this game keeps things relatively simple. Jot's swordplay is reminiscent of old school Zelda games, allowing you to swing, throw, and upgrade your weapon. And the combat is rarely challenging, but it doesn't really need to be, as the focus here is clearly on the puzzles and exploration, so the combat serves as a light, breezy way to break up the action. That said, for those looking for a real challenge, this may feel like a missed opportunity. But the real variety in gameplay comes from the minigames, sprinkled throughout the adventure. And these segments play homage to the classic video game genres, from Punch-Out style boxing matches to shoot 'em ups, rhythm games, and more. And the minigames are all short, sweet, and full of charm, and offer a welcome change of pace from the main story. It's clear that the developers have fun crafting these moments and deserve to keep the gameplay feeling fresh and varied. And one of the game's strongest points is its cast of characters, from Jot's steadfast bravery to the witty banter of Violet, the reluctant side character. Each member of the crew brings something unique to the table. Martina the Merchant is another standout, offering a nostalgic nod to games like Zelda with her ability to sell you upgrades. Moonbird, the wise mentor figure, and Trash, the mischievous goblin, add to the game's overall charm, each one contributing to the game's world in their own distinct way. But again, the game's gameplay and presentation is not without its flaws. The story, while charming, didn't fully grip me as an older player. Though the narrative is well written and dialogue has moments of wit, it sometimes felt like it dragged a little too long, and the mandatory conversations between each puzzle can feel overly didactic, even though the game features an optional hint system that would have sufficed for those who need help. And while the first 2/3 of the game kept things fresh with clever puzzles and fun minigames, Unfortunately, the final act stumbles a bit, stripping Judd of his abilities and forcing him through a repetitive stealth section, and by the time you reach the final dungeon, the game's momentum has slowed considerably. Despite its minor shortcomings, the Plucky Squire is a delightful game that offers a blend of creative puzzles, charming characters, and a nostalgic art style that's hard to resist, and its transition between 2D and 3D environments is a standout feature, and a clever wordplay mechanic adds a unique twist to the traditional puzzle-adventure genre. The game's light combat, whimsical minigames, and well-polished visuals make it an accessible and enjoyable experience for players of all ages. For me, the game's an 8.1 out of 10, and for those looking for a game that evokes nostalgia and classic adventures like The Legend of Zelda, all while offering something new and inventive, the Plucky Squire is a game I can recommend. Although its story may not be the most gripping for older audiences, its polished gameplay and charming world more than make up for it, as this game delivers a fun, creative, and heartwarming adventure. If you played the game, did you like it, would you recommend it? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching till the end, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a great day.